My name is Dr. Vanessa LaPointe. I'm a registered psychologist, parenting educator, and a mom to 2 growing boys. And we need to talk about fear. Fear as a virus. You know, I was listening to Brene Brown, because we're on a first name basis, the other day. And she said that anxiety is our most contagious emotion, which if you think about that from an evolutionary perspective, of course, that makes a lot of sense. The problem is when we allow fear to be what captains the ship, then we're going to steer ourselves into a reality that is full of fear. And I've been saying from the very beginning of this global pandemic that we need to ensure that love, not fear, but love, becomes the thing that we are spreading virally. Easy for me to say. Over the weekend, I noticed a shift in terms of some of the content that seems to be filling up the child raising, parenting sphere on social media. And that shift includes a real turn into the, what are we going to do about kids and education and school for this year? And it has become toxically soaked in a fear-based language. Things like they're so behind. Kids are never going to recover from this year. Their experts predict that they're going to be on average somewhere between 4 and 11 months behind, etc., etc., etc. And here's what I want for you to know. We get to choose our story. We get to decide what parts of that are we going to make real and what parts of that just don't serve. Don't serve us, don't serve our children, don't serve our villages, don't serve our society. And when you have an open mind to those kinds of things, it leads you to wonder, like, what are they actually falling behind on? And according to whose metric and what rubric, and how are we, coming up with this fear-based way of looking at all of that? From where I sit, and from the families and the children that I get to chat to, for many of them, not just a few, but many of them, this pandemic has been a gift. This relief from the world that was not working for our children. Some of the more recent data suggests that as much as 1 in 3 of our kids are walking around as like the walking wounded with clinically diagnosable symptoms of anxiety. So really, that's what's the goal that we're going to go back to. Let's reorient. This is our opportunity. Mother Nature has said, listen, y'all need to go to your rooms and think about what you have done. And when you're ready to rejoin the movement of love, then we shall declare this global pandemic over. And so there's so many kids for whom this has been the best thing ever, where the volume and all of the expectations otherwise placed upon them has been really turned down. And they have, for many of them, for the first time in sometimes years, been able to go and rest into the care of their grown-ups. And so I really, 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 really want to invite you to be focusing on how you are tending your stories around all of this. And I want to offer you a couple of tips in that regard. Number 1, you got to be impeccable with your word. And this is borrowing, of course, from the 4 agreements, where you have to watch the language. One of the articles that I read over the weekend that was kind of going viral started out as, I'm the kind of parent that tends to fret over these things. Okay, so let's look at the language. Might we watch that language? Might we start to shift and transform that language? I'm the kind of parent that likes to be dialed in to what's going on for my kids. And it's a different kind of energy that then fills the space around those words and then spills the space around how you are doing this thing called life. So be really, really, really impeccable with your words. The other thing is that I really want you to think about, what is the silver lining for you? Like, what are you getting out of this? Because I promise you, this is happening for you. It is not happening to you. It's not happening to your children. What is the silver lining that's coming out of all of this? My youngest son came out of a school that had very, very small class sizes and moved into a giant high school this year, which I knew was going to be an overwhelming thing for him. And yet, because it's COVID, he entered into a school in a cohort of only 30 kids. And so now he's gotten to have this enriched experience of really getting to, kind of settle in with those 30 rather than being overwhelmed by a school full of 1,500 kids. What's your silver lining? There's one that lives there. You've got to be able to kind of get through the rhetoric of fear and get into the heart of why this is happening for and not to you. And finally, always remember, you choose every single feeling that you have. It is a choice. When you're a grown-up adult, you decide whether you lapse into fear or you decide whether you go a different route, a route that is oriented towards hope, a route that is fixated on love, and a route that knows we will find our way through this. And if we can put the time in right now to get super conscious about that, what is waiting on the other side of this is going to be something pretty dazzlingly spectacular. Go to love over fear. Watch your thoughts. Make sure you're really on top of that. Choose your feelings. Lean into hope and lean into love. And always remember, you got this.